As Chancellor of the University, I declare this congregation open for the conferring of degrees by the authority of the Senate and Council.
As Vice-Chancellor, I'm delighted to welcome you all to this degree congregation. It is a celebration for all those who graduate today. We celebrate your many achievements that culminate in the award of a degree from a major international research-led university. Now, I'm fairly sure that it's several years since those of you graduating studied our prospectus. And I can pretty much guarantee that we've changed quite a bit during that time. We've changed while you've been here. You have contributed very much to that change. The university has increased in size, but most importantly, it has increased in intellectual stature. In research, we are now in the top 20 universities for research awards and grant and contract income. This April, we were named by the Financial Times as the leading UK provider of postgraduate master's degrees. In teaching, we are regularly reviewed by external groups from the Quality Assurance Agency. And in the last 10 visits to Leicester to evaluate our teaching, all our departments have been awarded a mark that equates with excellence. This is a splendid achievement by staff and students alike. Now, research and teaching are fundamental to a university education, and I am sure that your experience in Leicester will have brought you into contact with leading researchers and scholars in their respective disciplines. For research and critical analysis informs teaching, and it also extends the boundaries of the world that we all investigate. Those skills will assist you to solve problems in the future. Those skills will also have a role to play in a knowledge-based economy. But what of the Faculty of Arts in this university, and what of its contributions to research and teaching? It would take me a very long time if I were to stand here and tell you about the many things that perhaps go sometimes unnoticed in the busy world of the modern university. And so I'm going to focus on two areas. This year we were delighted that the Reverend Professor Richard Bonney received one of the highest grants to a scholar in the humanities, valued at £1 million, to study religion in a plural society. It will result in a very important research programme that will be central to the work in the faculty and in the Department of History. Our Museum Studies Department was looked at by the Quality Assurance Agency's assessors, and in that visit they obtained a score of 24 out of 24 for teaching. An absolutely splendid result, but as we always say to the assessors, we still have things to learn, and there are still ways in which we wish to push teaching and research ever further to make it much stronger in this university, even when we achieve the highest grades. For all departments in this university are committed to developing research and teaching together through new initiatives in the region. And I was delighted that this university is to have one of the prototype foundation degree programs in this particular region. Indeed, we are to run 2 degrees, one in conjunction with Bishop Grosseteste College in Lincoln, which is for classroom assistants, and another degree program, which is in security and risk management. These are new foundation degrees that will be 2-year courses and draw on the range of research and teaching expertise. We also will develop our research and teaching through our links with companies. We already have an established link with Rolls-Royce, and we want to develop this further. We will engage in further short coursework and advanced training, not only for people locally and regionally, but also nationally and internationally. And there is also, very importantly, our distance learning provision that builds on our quality research and teaching and now numbers some 5,000 students. Now, I know that all of you graduating today may be thinking, well, that's it, career over in the University of Leicester, but there's another opportunity. You can come back again and for another degree programme with us, but you don't have to be in Leicester. You can study with us by distance learning methods. And indeed, if parents and friends are thinking that you're exempt, I can say to you now, if you wish to start a degree by distance learning, by the end of the week, that opportunity can be yours. The university is committed to making lifelong learning a living reality, but there are challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. As a university, we need to achieve student recruitment targets whereby by the year 2010, we contribute to meeting the government's objective whereby 50% of the population aged 18 to 30 have some experience of higher education. I think that will mean a massive advantage to people in this country in terms of their quality of life, as well as making a contribution to the economy. Secondly, in this university, we need to meet the challenge of reduced budgets that every university is confronting, and we are no exception. We need, as a university, to generate our own income. You cannot just rely on a government grant, however generous that may be, or alleged to be. Thirdly, we need to develop new forms of learning through multimedia delivery. The whole question of the e-university, and this university needs to play a part in that development. And finally, we need to continue to establish new networks regionally, nationally, and internationally. The University of Leicester has much to contribute as it moves into the 80th year since higher education was first provided on our campus in University Road. Finally, I would like to congratulate you all on the degrees you have obtained, with the quality pushed even higher. It is a terrific achievement that the class of 2001 has in fact got a very high quality demonstrated through its degree courses. I hope you will be proud of us, because we will certainly be very proud of you. And I hope that you will continue to keep in touch with the university, and I shall look forward to meeting many of you at alumni events. But before I sit down, I would like you to join me in showing your appreciation to your parents, relatives, friends and sponsors who join us in this celebration today. These are the people who have supported you through university. So I would now ask the graduating class of 2001 to join me in a round of applause for those people. That's an absolutely terrific start for the applause. Have a very enjoyable day. Applaud your fellow students, and all good wishes to you for your future careers.
It is a very special pleasure to introduce to this degree congregation Jean Humphreys, who is being honoured for her contribution to the development of the University of Leicester for over 50 years. What I shall attempt to do in around 800 words is to offer you a love story, a novel of university life, and the song of an unsung heroine. Jean Humphreys is the first to admit that it's a long road from birth in Drumadoon Farm on her beloved Isle of Arran to the stage of the de Montfort Hall to receive an honorary degree from the University of Leicester. Her childhood was marked by the farming depression which ended with the Second World War, and she recalls that her toys as a child were the animals of the farm. After primary education on the island, all 3 children were sent at considerable emotional and financial cost to their parents to the mainland for their secondary education. Success in her Scottish hires led to a place at Glasgow University to read English, followed by an MA and teacher trainee. It is also a long way from Arran to Turkey, but this connection was to prove important in Jean's life. Many of those who taught at Glasgow University took their holidays on Arran, where Jean would deliver their milk. Some of them were called up to serve in the Royal Air Force, and one of them was seconded to the British Council in Ankara. From elsewhere, a certain Arthur Humphreys had been called up to serve in the Royal Air Force and was seconded to the British Council in Istanbul. These two met and went climbing together in the Taurus Mountains. Eventually, this group found its way to Drumadoon, which was legendary for its open-door hospitality to all comers. Everyone fell in love with the tall, fair, and handsome Arthur Humphreys, but it was Jean with whom Arthur fell in love, and they became engaged. A secondary school was opened in Arran, partly as a result of a campaign by the Education Committee, of which her father had been a key part, and Jean was appointed to teach English. Meanwhile, it looked as though Arthur would take up an appointment in Turkey to teach English, but this fell through at the last moment, and as his colleagues returned to their jobs after the war, Arthur found himself unemployed. But not for long. He was appointed Professor of English at University College Leicester, initially to the disappointment of existing students who supported an incumbent teacher who did not get the job. But they were soon won over by the professor's agreeable disposition and skills as a teacher. Arthur and Jean were married on the 8th of August 1947 in Drumadoon. At the reception, Arthur, who had a schoolboy enthusiasm for palindromic dates, pointed out that they would celebrate their 41st wedding anniversary on the 8th of the 8th, 88. Poignantly, though dying of cancer in 1988, he hung on and they did celebrate a 41st anniversary, though Arthur died the following day. Life in the post-war years in Leicester was exhilarating as the University College went from strength to strength and plans for the independence of the university through the grant of the Royal Charter came to fruition. The Humphreys household was a focal point of academic conviviality and scholarship, but links with the city were also important to them. Jean modestly says that it's been a great privilege to have had a ringside seat at the great unfolding adventure of the transformation of University College Leicester into the large and thriving University of Leicester of today. Like others involved in this evolution and development, she speaks of a great sense of collegiality, warmth, and friendship that has survived into the institution we know today. The visitor's book at the Humphreys household reads like a history of the university in itself, and is also evidence of the great names who've been associated with this university. There are also a number of benefactions which Jean modestly fails to mention in briefings to me, notably to provide the Arthur and Jean Humphreys Prize in the Department of English and to support music making in the university. There is also support, both moral and material, beyond the university. Jean's notes to assist me in writing this oration say that if this honorary degree can be made a tribute to Arthur, she would not be so embarrassed about it. I'm afraid you will have to be embarrassed about it, Jean, because this honour is for you in your own right. That said, the names of Arthur and Jean Humphreys are forever associated. I repeat a tribute which appears in the programme for the memorial concert for Arthur, which took place in June 1989. His marriage was so much a partnership that scholars who saw the Humphreys working together in research libraries often took them for newlyweds. As an ambassador for the university and the city, there are few who are the equal of Jean Humphreys. All of us who have come to know Jean over more than half a century of association with the university are delighted that we can today repay her warmth, charm, conviviality and generosity with this honour. Mr. Chancellor, on the recommendation of the Senate and the Council, I present to you Jean Humphreys that you may confer upon her the honorary degree of Master of Arts.
I admit the degree of Master of Arts and welcome your manners. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you. All graduates of the faculty, please stand.
Mr. Chancellor, I ask you to admit these candidates from the Faculty of Arts to the several degrees for which they are presented.
Graduates of the Faculty of Arts, by the authority of the Senate, I admit you to the several degrees which you are presented.
For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Michael Dibble.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations.
Geoffrey Eastman.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations.
Philip Masters.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations. Thank you.
Sylvia Pinches.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Philosophy, Eric Lewinson.
Congratulations. Well done.
For the degree of Master of Arts in English Local History, Andrew Bowes.
Congratulations. Well done.
Michael Cullen.
Congratulations.
Adam Fenn.
Congratulations.
Frank Galbraith.
Congratulations.
Philippa Jessup.
Congratulations.
John Lewis.
Congratulations.
Jacqueline Salter.
Congratulations.
Penny Smart.
Congratulations.
Owen York.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in American Studies, Nicola Bourne.
Congratulations.
Alexandra Cooper.
Congratulations.
Stephen Hopkins.
Congratulations.
Anne Lawrence.
Congratulations.
Catherine Mills.
Congratulations. Well done.
Michelle Mitas.
Congratulations.
Prue Richardson.
Congratulations.
Claire Tyler.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in American Studies with a year in the United States, Shona Barrett.
Congratulations.
Lucinda Kane.
Congratulations.
Andre Edwards.
Congratulations.
Victoria Emerson.
Congratulations.
Anna Fernandez.
Congratulations.
Matthew Gatehouse.
Congratulations.
Jennifer Hales.
Congratulations.
Rowena Holton.
Congratulations.
Scott Henderson.
Congratulations.
Rebecca Higginson.
Congratulations.
Patrick Holt.
Congratulations.
Victoria Howard.
Congratulations.
Ian Howe.
Congratulations.
Rachel Job.
Congratulations.
Caroline Jones.
Congratulations.
Jennifer Lee.
Congratulations.
Stephanie Leggett.
Congratulations.
Andrew Newman.
Congratulations.
Ben Poole.
Well done.
Laura Russell.
Congratulations.
Lucy Sinden.
Congratulations.
Kerry Smith.
Congratulations.
Kevin Smith.
Congratulations.
Emma Soper.
Congratulations.
Joanna Wheatcroft.
Congratulations.
Catherine Yeomans.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Combined Studies, Taiba Ahmed.
Well, congratulations.
Rachel Allman.
Congratulations.
Stephen Anderson.
Well done.
Claire Bantin.
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Baxter.
Congratulations.
Tamara Bennett.
Congratulations.
George Bevier.
Congratulations.
Carol Brown.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Catherine Brown.
Congratulations.
Ian Coulson.
Congratulations.
Anna Crossley.
Congratulations.
Gemma Dalton.
Congratulations.
Victoria Dan.
Congratulations.
Jennifer Davidson.
Congratulations.
Maria Davis.
Congratulations.
Catherine de Courcy.
Congratulations.
Paul Dowling.
Congratulations.
Sarah Adoon.
Congratulations.
Laura Ellis.
Congratulations.
Amy Ensum.
Congratulations.
Patricia Farrow.
Congratulations. Well done.
Claire Faulkner.
Congratulations.
June Ford.
Congratulations.
Alison Garrett.
Congratulations.
Claire Gilhooly.
Congratulations.
Zach Gollop.
Congratulations.
Victoria Heath.
Congratulations.
Danielle Henley.
Congratulations.
James Heighton.
Congratulations.
Anna Jenkins.
Congratulations.
Waishan Kong.
Congratulations.
Paul Main.
Congratulations.
Nicola Maltby.
Congratulations.
Chris Mann.
Congratulations.
Kirsty McHarry.
Congratulations.
Gemma McLaughlin.
Congratulations.
Kim Mincher.
Congratulations.
Catherine Moylan.
Congratulations.
Katie Oakley.
Congratulations.
Deborah Ormond.
Congratulations.
Natalie Page.
Congratulations.
Ian Porter.
Congratulations.
Fiona Riley.
Congratulations.
Catherine Rennick.
Congratulations.
Ginny Salmon.
Congratulations.
Jasvir Samurai.
Congratulations.
Katie Shellard.
Congratulations.
Emma Stewart.
Congratulations.
Henry Stewart.
Congratulations.
Anna Simmons.
Congratulations.
Sophie Thompson.
Congratulations.
Deborah Titley.
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Turner.
Congratulations.
Simone Underwood.
Congratulations.
Ainsley Woolcroft.
Well done.
Amy Walsh.
Congratulations.
Hayley Warrilow.
Congratulations.
Lauren Waring.
Congratulations.
Zoe West.
Congratulations.
Kerry Whittle.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Combined Studies, European Community, Joanna Aiken.
Congratulations.
Sophia Edmondson.
Congratulations.
Gemma Feeney.
Congratulations.
Catherine Hamilton.
Congratulations.
Laura Molyneux.
Congratulations.
Hilary Risley.
Congratulations.
Jonathan Seabourn.
Congratulations.
Deborah Slater.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in English, Katrina Abatis.
Congratulations.
Richard Adams.
Congratulations.
Victoria Baker.
Congratulations.
Sean Ballantyne.
Congratulations.
Neris Bannister.
Congratulations.
Christiana Barber.
Congratulations.
Helen Bentley.
Congratulations.
Ross Bird.
Congratulations.
Nikki Boardman.
Congratulations.
James Bober.
Congratulations. Well done.
Donald Broomhall.
Congratulations.
Catherine Bryce.
Congratulations.
Laura Bunny.
Congratulations.
Angela Button.
Congratulations.
Joanna Carr. Kelly Clark.
Congratulations.
Katie Clements.
Congratulations.
Nicola Clements.
Congratulations.
Sally Crowe.
Congratulations.
Francesca Dance.
Congratulations.
Anthony Dangerfield.
Congratulations.
Caroline Davis.
Congratulations.
Erin Dean.
Congratulations.
Deborah Dobson.
Congratulations.
Carla Escudier.
Congratulations.
Beth Etchells.
Congratulations.
Catherine Evely.
Congratulations.
Stephen Fairman.
Well done.
Daniel Farmer.
Congratulations.
Cheryl Gleave.
Congratulations.
Marcus Goff.
Congratulations.
James Heal.
Congratulations.
Douglas Hewitt.
Well done.
Lisa Hills.
Congratulations.
Christopher Hudson.
Congratulations.
Emma Hughes.
Congratulations.
Thomas Hunt.
Well done.
Paul Hutton.
Congratulations. Well done.
William Jackson.
Congratulations.
Hungodi Jayabla Krishnan.
Well done.
Simon Jenner.
Congratulations. Well done.
Emma Kimberley.
Congratulations.
Louise Latham.
Congratulations.
Gareth Le Provost.
Congratulations.
Stephanie Lemon.
Congratulations.
Helen Little.
Congratulations.
Rebecca Lockley.
Congratulations. Well done.
Sumaida Mane.
Congratulations.
Gabrielle Meadows.
Congratulations.
Hazel Mills.
Congratulations.
Sarah Moorland.
Congratulations.
Catherine Morris.
Congratulations.
Peter Orchard.
Congratulations.
Brooke Osborne.
Well done.
Amy Parks.
Congratulations. Well done.
Siu Mai Pei.
Congratulations.
Kulveer Rai.
Congratulations.
Manju Rani.
Congratulations.
Jane Regan.
Congratulations.
Amber Rowthorne.
Congratulations.
Robert Rumfit.
Congratulations.
Harpinder Sadra.
Congratulations.
Josie Solke.
Congratulations.
John Sanders.
Congratulations.
Victoria Shaw.
Congratulations.
Colette Shearer.
Congratulations.
Alison Shevlin.
Congratulations.
Mary Smith.
Congratulations.
Richard Spotswood.
Congratulations.
Rebecca Storer.
Congratulations.
Louise Theobald.
Congratulations.
Gillian Thompson.
Congratulations.
John Thompson.
Congratulations.
Lucy Tillett.
Congratulations.
Sarah Towell.
Congratulations.
Francis Figures.
Congratulations.
Joe Waring.
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Welsh.
Congratulations.
Katie White.
Congratulations.
Lin Fong Wong.
Congratulations.
William Woodhead.
Congratulations.
Emily Yates.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in English, European Union, Louise Ashton.
Congratulations.
Douglas Burgess.
Congratulations.
Heather Fear.
Congratulations.
Joanne Gibson.
Congratulations.
Stephanie Glanville.
Congratulations.
Corinna Hackwood.
Congratulations.
Caroline Hollis.
Congratulations.
Rian Jones.
Congratulations. One out.
Francis Sheridan.
Congratulations.
Kate Wetton.
Congratulations.
Rosemary Wilson.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in European Studies, Natalie Aldrich.
Congratulations.
Nicola Bartlett.
Congratulations.
Thomas Bryan.
One out.
Lydia Bullock.
Congratulations.
Bethan Collins.
Congratulations.
Lucy Collins.
Congratulations.
Andrew Davey.
Congratulations.
Edward Dyson.
Congratulations.
Laura Fernley.
Congratulations.
Alexandra Hall.
Congratulations.
Kim Hankey.
Congratulations.
Catherine Henderson.
Congratulations.
Thomas Hollick.
Congratulations.
Adam Jones.
Congratulations.
Lucy Kempson.
Congratulations.
Zoe Middleton.
Congratulations.
Caroline Moore.
Congratulations.
Helen Naylor.
Congratulations.
Deborah Pearson.
Congratulations.
Rosalind Spencer.
Congratulations.
Victoria Sutton.
Congratulations.
Andrew Thornton.
Congratulations.
Gareth Wainwright.
Congratulations.
Kate Woodhouse.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in French, Vanessa Adika.
Congratulations.
Rebecca Bennett.
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Cohen.
Congratulations.
Rosalind Devonish.
Congratulations.
Kay Durrant.
Congratulations.
Kate Fitzgerald.
Congratulations.
Anna Franklin.
Congratulations.
Lisa Gillingham.
Congratulations.
Rachel Gould.
Congratulations.
Caroline Hollis.
Congratulations.
Alex Knight.
Congratulations.
Claire Lewis.
Congratulations.
David Pickering.
Congratulations.
Rebecca Rowe.
Congratulations.
Marion Shaw.
Congratulations.
Jeremy Tennant.
Well done.
Nicola Whitton.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in French and German, Georgia Alderson.
Congratulations.
Stephanie Blowers.
Congratulations.
Jennifer Klusman.
Congratulations.
Catherine Nunn.
Congratulations.
Catherine Smale.
Congratulations.
Caroline Smith.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in French and Italian, Tessa Cheeseman.
Congratulations. Well done.
Naomi Curry.
Congratulations.
Kerry Moorhouse.
Congratulations. Well done.
Zoe Monroe.
Congratulations.
Andrew Payne.
Congratulations.
David Redford.
Congratulations.
Louise Saga.
Congratulations.
Vicky Scott.
Congratulations.
Buffy Venton.
Congratulations. Well done.
Rob Young was educated at the King Edward VI School in Norwich. From there, in 1963, he came to the University of Leicester to study French and Latin, Leicester being a city with family heritage, since his father had lived here for many years in the 1920s. By the time he had completed his degree, he had, like many graduates of the 1960s, preferred to opt for a career in the arena of public and government service. He also had a yearning to travel and to gain experience of living and working abroad. With characteristic modesty, he says that channeling these objectives into a career in the diplomatic service was initially something of a shot in the dark. Subsequent events have shown that his random shot turns out to have been perfectly aimed. Again, characteristic of our honorand is his generosity towards others, whom he says have helped him in his career. For example, he valued the emphasis that the University of Leicester placed upon shaping education to the particular needs and talents of the individual student. He also recalls the strong encouragement he received from the then head of the French department, Professor Leslie Sykes, in pursuing what in those days was an unconventional career choice for a Leicester graduate. Rob Young entered the Foreign and Commonwealth Office in 1967, taking up a post as Assistant Desk Officer in the West and Central Africa Department. A year later, he moved to the Middle East Center for Arabic Studies, and then 3 years later became Third Secretary in the Cairo Embassy. While in Cairo, still at this stage a relatively junior diplomat, he had a moment in which he thought his career in the diplomatic service might be destined for a premature end. The year was 1970, and the international headline news of the day related to the funeral of President Nasser of Egypt. So important was the event that there had been a lot of hard work by diplomatic officials to ensure that meticulous preparations were made for the state occasion. The Prime Minister at the time, Edward Heath, dispatched his Foreign Secretary, Sir Alec Douglas-Home, to represent the UK at the proceedings. The Foreign Secretary arrived in Egypt and, after meeting and being briefed by officials, set off for the state funeral. For those, though, who had been responsible for all the organisation of the Foreign Secretary's visit, the familiar post-stress feelings of exhaustion and relief had set in. Who could blame our Honorand and his colleagues for deciding that amid the intense Cairo heat, and after all their hard work, for knocking off early with a gin and tonic? No sooner had they started to relax than they heard the returning footsteps and voice of the Foreign Secretary along the corridor, the funeral arrangements having been cut rather shorter than had been expected. More than 30 years on, Rob Young recalls with a smile how, as those footsteps came nearer, that he began writing a mental resignation note in anticipation of Sir Alec's displeasure. In the event, when Sir Alec did come through the door, he was not so much seeking resignations as a G&T of his own. Nationally and internationally, we have much to thank the Foreign Secretary's like mind on that matter, because the subsequent career of our Honorand was to have a major influence on international diplomacy. In 1990 to 1991, he faced possibly the most grueling 5 months of his career to date. He was to be heading the Foreign and Commonwealth Office's emergency unit during the early phases of the Gulf War effort. This involved starting at 5 a.m. every day and finishing at 10 at night. This, given the secret subterranean headquarters in which he was operating, led him to feel as though he was living the existence of a human mole. The scale of his endeavour in this regard was to be recognised with the award of the CMG in 1991. He also holds the Foreign and Commonwealth Office record for duration in services in dealing with France. This amounts to 10 years in all, including 2 postings to Paris, first as First Secretary in the mid-1970s, and then as Diplomatic Minister in Paris between 1991 and 1994. In 1999, he was appointed to India as High Commissioner and was knighted for his services to diplomacy with the award of the KCMG. Today, the relationship between the United Kingdom and India is flourishing, and last November, this success prompted the Indian External Affairs Minister to comment that Anglo-Indian relationships are better than they have ever been. Indeed, at a political level, there is tremendous confidence, with two-way trade between the UK and India reaching £5 billion, the highest figure yet. Sir Rob regards his time in India as being something of a personal voyage of discovery for himself and his wife Catherine. A layman might view the relentless progression towards globalization and the near immediacy of electronic communications as compromising the future of old-style diplomacy. Interestingly, however, Sir Rob's experiences on the subcontinent have instead further persuaded him of the value of nurturing traditional bilateral diplomatic relationships among nations. In an age of globalization and instant communication, the need to have people who can react rapidly and to potentially serious situations as they arrive is not so much an option as an imperative. In this role, our Honorand is one of the UK's most experienced and distinguished diplomats, and it is a very special pleasure to welcome him back to the university and honour him here today. Mr. Chancellor, on the recommendation of Senate and the Council, I present John Robertson Young, that you may confer upon him the Honorary Degree of Doctor of Laws.
I read you the degree of Doctor of Laws and welcome your manner. Congratulations. There's your token.
No problem.
I'm in the house.
Mr. Vice-Chancellor, for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in French and Politics, Christopher Ansell. Paul Davidson. Ruth Proctor. Kerrion Smith. James Whittle. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in German, Julie Deeming. Michael Kerner. Alexandra MacDonald Pierce. Jonathan Makin. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in German and Italian, Stephanie Parsons. Sarah Worth. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in History, Julia Ashwell. Julie Barber. Lee Bickerton. James Bissett. Eleanor Borella. Rachel Bradford. Eleanor Briggs. Aidan Brisland. Hannah Brown. Stephen Bullock. Anne-Marie Bunting. Ruth Camies. David Carroll. Andrew Clark. John Cuttle. Kate Davis. Gillian Delacroix. Cindy Desborough. Timothy Dyke. John Evans. Suzanne Garn. Kuljit Gill. Mark Glavey. Roland Gorinsky. Bethan Gould. Michael Grange. Isabel Griesby. Paul Griffin. Lisa Harwood. Paul Herring. John Hine. Emma Horsted. Jennifer House. Nisha Kapoor. Elaine Carmy. Craig McHugh. Beatrice Meager. Michael Melia. Shola Merriman. Ian Messenger. Heidi Metcalf. Rosaline Monk. Rachel Musson. Kate O'Connor. Matthew Olushola. Paul Oster. Owen Phillips. Sam Plackman. Thomas Pritchard. Kate Robinson. Fiona Rogers. Kerry Saunders. Richard Smeaton. David Smith. Melanie Southwood. Nicholas Stafford. Leanne Swallow. Robert Taylor. Katie Timmons. Kelly Turner. Rachel Usher. Jane Watson. James Wiltshire. Elaine Wood. Catherine Woodcock. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in History, European Union, Rebecca Churcher. Maxine Draper. Kate Lockyer. Dina Sterlini. Simon Weaver. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in History and Archaeology, Georgina Bedwell. John Brenderholm. Kate Devine. Nicola Green. Rosanna Hibbert. Dylan Kay. Daniel Paul. Elizabeth Poggioli. Amy Sibley. Peter Stubbs. Eleanor Schindler. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in History and Archaeology, European Union, Sarah Ashton. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in History and Politics, Catherine Aronson. Andrew Arnold. Rebecca Brett. Simon Buss. Colin Coop. David Curran. Adam Dowdy. Manjit Danjal. Elizabeth Franklin. Bethan Hobbs. Andrew Kay. Mark Kelso. Victoria Luff. Anne Murphy. Hassan G. Patel. Alexander Payton. Col McQuinn. Jonathan Seymour. David Sheldon. Matthew Sleet. Christopher Vasey. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Humanities, Alison Barnett. Andrea Clark. Anne Culling. Barbara Grace Smith. Pauline Lee. Alison Lowe. Joy McNeil. Andrew Parish. Julia Pritchard. Arun Sharma. Annette Strong. Guy Sumpter. Deborah Swan. Margaret Warrington. Brenda Waterfield. Ian Whitehead. Jacqueline York. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in World Humanities, Linda Dyer. Susan Harper. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Modern Language Studies, Catherine Chandler. Charlene Chenery. Karen Iwauka. Hannah Taylor. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Modern Language Studies with a year abroad, Sabina Akaraya. Catherine Anderson. Kirsty Blackstock. Christopher Collins. Fiona Conlon. Laura Cowley. Rebecca Hammond. Jacqueline Hayward. Jane Higgett. Sally Hearn. Rewallen Ledbetter. Sonia Rickards. Richard Roberts. Emma Sweet. Romina Toscano. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Combined Studies, Victoria Danamain. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to admit to the several degrees for which they are presented by my faculty those candidates who are absent.
By the authority of the Senate, I admit those candidates who are absent for the several degrees for which they are presented.
Let me begin by congratulating our honorary graduates and say how pleased we are to add them to the list of Leicester alumni. It may seem that unlike the rest of you who've had to work hard and pass examinations, they have had an easy time of it. But I should warn them that an honorary degree is a step on the way to becoming a Chancellor, and in return for the one handshake I have given them, they will have to repay it with several thousand handshakes in the future. But this is really the big day for all the others graduating today, and I offer you all my heartiest congratulations on your achievements and best wishes for the future. This is also the occasion to thank all those who have supported you in one way or another during your studies, your family, your friends, your teachers, even your examiners. All of them can celebrate and take pride in your success. Leicester is, of course, just one of the many universities all around the world where similar ceremonies are taking place. And a common concern with scholarship and the need to benefit humanity unites them all. I've just returned from giving the invited address at what is called the commencement ceremony at the American University of Beirut in the Lebanon. Oddly enough, this archaic English word for the graduation ceremony has survived in American institutions, but is no longer used in this country. It recognizes that graduation is the beginning of real life, rather than just the end of your student period. But there were other differences between Beirut and Leicester, the main one being that the ceremony was held outdoors on the football field, and so was able to accommodate football-sized crowds. The climate in Beirut is a little more predictable than in England, with guaranteed sunshine. But to avoid too much of a good thing, the ceremony started at 7:30 in the evening and went on till late at night, and the student parties began at midnight and finished at breakfast the next morning. The football field also lends itself to informality, so that although the students were, like you, all properly attired in smart dress and gowns, they were not inhibited from waving fireworks or balloons. Perhaps the Vice-Chancellor does not altogether regret the handicaps of the English climate. Another aspect of the Beirut ceremony which the Vice-Chancellor may not wish to copy is the tradition of having a student representative give a speech from the podium. While admirably democratic in principle, it does tend to attract the aspiring politician. Certainly the student who spoke when I was there indulged in some tub-thumping oratory, complaining about the high fees of the university was charging, shortly going off for his expensive champagne party. Perhaps you may wonder what I was doing in such a small, relatively obscure part of the world as the Lebanon, besides enjoying the sunshine. In fact, as my name indicates, my father came from the Lebanon, and I was brought up in various parts of the Middle East and had part of my schooling in Alexandria in Egypt. I therefore grew up in a very cosmopolitan environment, surrounded by many cultures and languages. And since I am a mathematician, I took advantage of this opportunity by learning how to count in a dozen different languages, including such obscure ones as Amharic. I was always aware of the difficulties and tensions that a mix of cultures can produce, but I also realized that a school provides an opportunity to understand and appreciate ethnic diversity. Living in close proximity at a young and formative age enables children to learn at first hand something of the complexity of the world. And what was true for me at school over 50 years ago is now true much more widely for students at universities in many parts of the world. Certainly one of the things that Beirut and Leicester have in common is the wide range of student backgrounds. In Beirut, this variety simply reflects the complex social fabric of the Lebanon, with its mix of Christians and Muslims of all varieties, superimposed on a trilingual culture of Arabic, English, and French. Here in Leicester, the mix partly reflects the increasing variety in the population of the UK, and partly the very large number of students who come here from abroad. In fact, if we look around the present world, one of the most notable developments is the increasing mobility of people. There are large migrations taking place for a whole host of reasons: political, economic, and demographic. In Europe, there are movements from south to north and from east to west. In America, where immigration has been going on for 500 years, there is a shift in the balance of newcomers. When I was recently in California, it was officially announced that for the first time, the percentage of the population there of European origin was now below 50%. there have been large influxes from the Far East. These are historic changes, and they can be accompanied by serious problems. Economic stress can aggravate the situation, and unscrupulous politicians can play on people's fears. We have seen recent examples in this country. It is the task of the more enlightened sections of society to diffuse tension and to increase mutual understanding and tolerance in our communities. In particular, this task will fall on you, as the younger generation who will benefit from a higher education. I trust and hope that your time at university has taught you not only the skills of your subject, but also how to get along with those from different cultural and ethnic backgrounds. There is no more important role for universities than to produce tolerant and enlightened citizens for the future. As you leave the university, you will enter the world is changing fast, not only in terms of the movement of peoples that I have been referring to, but also in terms of technology and employment. You start with the initial advantages of your degree from Leicester, but you will need to supplement this at various stages and in different ways. Some of you will acquire further skills on the job. Others will get special training. Some may go on to higher degrees or research, and some may return later to university for additional courses. To keep up with the world outside, you will constantly have to be educating yourself. In fact, the most useful skill you can acquire at university is that of learning how to teach yourself. With libraries and the internet, with universities offering retraining programs, there are plenty of opportunities for you to keep abreast of changes, and I hope you will do so. As I said at the beginning, graduation is really your commencement. So I wish you all well. May you have fulfilling lives, both personal and professional, and may you serve not only your own advancement, but also that of your community. And whatever happens, do not lose the idealism of youth, but temper it with experience and realism. I now declare this congregation closed.